Hi, today I'm going to do a VR or a virtual reaction to the hashtag only 10 decks, which basically means that what 10 decks would I keep out of my entire collection? Now, I recently uploaded a video on my entire tarot and oracle deck collection, and the 10 decks that I have selected are a mix of oracle and tarot. I am more a fan of tarot than I am of oracle, so out of the 10 decks, I believe 3 are oracle and then the other 7 are tarot. And I also have like a bonus, like a honorable mention, I guess, for both tarot and oracle. So let's get started with the oracle decks first. So the first oracle deck that I knew I had to have was the Sacred Self-Care Oracle, because I use this all the time. I love this. This is the deck that I use for self-care prompts. In the little guidebook there are also some journal prompts, and it's really pretty. So you have very colorful images, and then you have a self-care prompt on the bottom. So we have drink tea, I have make a meal, beauty ritual, journal, sound healing, and there is a lot of interesting self-care prompts in this deck. And I really like implementing self-care into my readings. So it was a no-brainer that my Sacred Self-Care Oracle had to be one of the 10 decks that I keep. The next oracle deck is fairly new to my collection. I think I got this somewhere in August or September, and it's the Barbieri Zodiac Oracle deck. I like this a lot, which is why, of course, it's part of my 10 decks. I don't know, I find it super easy to use. So this is a zodiac astrology themed deck, and this one has all of the 12 zodiac signs. It has the planets, and it has the 4 elements. The imagery is very intriguing, so to say. It's a lot. I don't look at this for the imagery per se, but because I know my astrology, especially anything that I need to know to work with this deck, it's kind of similar as working with astrology dice. So I could have picked another deck instead of this one and just use my astrology dice because they're not a deck. And if I could only keep 10 decks, I could keep 10 decks plus my astro dice. But I don't know, I really like this deck. I use it quite often because I find it very easy to to pull cards to catch like overall themes, if that makes sense, as well as actionable steps. So the last oracle deck, let me get it underneath my tarot deck, is the Believe in Your Own Magic oracle deck. You might, everything is falling out. You might sense sort of a theme in the oracle decks, or I mean, there are only 3 oracle decks, and 2 of them are more self-care, self-love kind of themed. But that is what I love tarot for. I love to pull a tarot or to pull an oracle card at the end of a reading, to kind of bring it all down and to kind of ground me and the one person that I'm reading for kind of back, and to have something to remember that your self-worth is really important. So here we have confidence. It comes with time and practice. I think that's a lovely thing to hear. Feast, slow down and celebrate yourself. I also have here feather, think first before you judge. I think those are all great advice, and it can do wonders for your self-worth, which is why I really like this deck. So now we're gonna get into tarot. I'm just gonna do these randomly. So the first deck that I see here is my Tattoo Tarot, and this I don't use this too often, but I love the feel of this deck. So this deck, interestingly, is sort of pippish, meaning that you have here the wands, these are the 8 of wands, and there are just 8 wands here. But the thing with this deck is it's a little bit more than just pippish, because you can also see imagery beneath or behind the pips. So here we have the 6 of Swords, and usually we see a boat, but if you look closely, if it will focus, when you pull it like this, it does become that, that boat. Here with the 5 of Cups, yeah, we have 5 cups, but we also have a crying eye, indicating that it's it can be about pessimism and having a negative mindset, especially knowing that cups are about emotion. So I love how surprisingly easy this is to read, and somehow I don't know what it is about this deck. I have a very hard time describing it. What it is that I love about this deck, but it's just so easy to read with. I love the imagery, I love the box. This is one of the few decks that tarot decks that I actually keep in the box. So yeah, that is the Tattoo Tarot. Next is my Dreaming Way Tarot, and a lot of my decks I just keep in a self-made tarot pouch, tarot bag, and this is the Dreaming Way Tarot, like I said, and this is very airy, very whimsical looking, but the readings that I get with this deck are really kind of harsh. So as you can see here, we have I'm trying to have it not reflect from the ring light, very whimsical, airy, very light and white. So this is definitely my aesthetic. I absolutely love this. But like I said, the readings that I get with this one, super blunt. Very straight to the point. I usually don't need a lot of cards when it comes to this deck because, first of all, it doesn't give me a lot of cards. It kind of tells me that I'll just have to do with the cards that I get. But the reading is so straightforward. It's so easy to read with, and it's not always what you want to hear, but it's what you really, really need to hear. So after the Dreaming Way, I'm gonna go onto my Anna K Tarot deck. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it in this bag. I kind of like it. But this is my Anna K. These are the bags. They're just like little trees. Super cute. Like that. Every card seems like it's glossy right now because I have my ring light on because the lighting is really, really shitty. But I love this so much. I edged it black myself. I got this secondhand from Vinted, but in all these imagery, how should I say? I'm losing all of my words, but this imagery is really whimsical as well, but in a different way. This one isn't as light, it isn't as light-hearted. I feel like there's more real scenes and more real life, and the faces are incredible in here. They are so detailed, they are so emotive. You can really tell what everybody is thinking and what they're feeling, and I really, really love that about this deck. I found it super easy to read with this deck. I also think that this is a great deck to read with for other people. So I have done my Zodiac video for December. I think I've done it all of the 12 Zodiac signs with just this deck, I believe, which is a first. I usually rotate my decks, but I don't know, I was really feeling this one and I absolutely love it. So if I could only keep 10 decks, I would love to keep this one because it's just so easy to read with. Another one, this is one that I love to read for other people with. And I talked about this recently in another VR that I will link in the description box below in case you like watching VRs. But this is my Friends Tarot deck. A lot of people come to me for friendship readings, for tarot readings on their friendships. And what better deck than the Friends Tarot deck? So this is of course from the late 90s, early 2000s TV show Friends. And you have the characters of the show in here. So I feel like this is relatable. It also gives it another layer to interpret the cards because you know the characters, and sometimes you even know the scenes that they're talking about. I love this Sun card so much. So I find this deck really relatable for me, and as well as for other people, especially if they know friends and they requested this tarot deck. I don't know, I find it really easy to read with, especially for friendships. I feel like this deck was absolutely made for that. So yeah, that is why I would love to keep this deck as well. It's like I don't know if this is what you would call a novelty deck, because it's so silly. Like, there are so many other gorgeous decks out there, or that I own as well. And still, if I could only keep 10 decks, I would still want to keep the Friends Tarot deck, just because it's so easy to read, and I think it's a great one to read with for other people, especially since so many people come to me for friendship readings. Let's see, I only have 3 decks left. The next one is the Lightsaber Tarot. This is another deck that I feel like is great to read for other people with, because this feels like, and I've said it before, and I don't know what the English term is, but if I were to translate it from Dutch, which is my first language, is that it's very low threshold, like a low threshold kind of deck, meaning that if you aren't really familiar with tarot, if you're not really comfortable with tarot, if you're new to it, then this is a great deck, because the images aren't scary. They are very modern, they are sort of relatable, but I feel like the Anna K one is more relatable. Let me try to get this focused. I don't know if it's all the smoke here. I'm burning incense here. It's not focusing. Also, I have shown this deck a lot of times before, but I love working with this deck. I know I haven't shown the backs of all of these cards yet, but these are the backs from these. And I think this is a deck that a lot of people could benefit from having, to be honest. So if you are a tarot reader yourself and you're looking at these tag videos to see what decks are great to have, I think the Lightsaber Tarot is great, not just for beginners. I know this is one that people talk about a lot when it comes to tarot decks for beginners. And yeah, I do think it's a great deck for beginners, but I also think more advanced tarot readers could benefit from having this deck as well, because there's some other imagery here, there's some more symbology. Some cards are made to be a little less heavy, which I don't mind, as long as it's until a certain degree, you know. Now I have 2 tarot decks left, and then we're gonna go on to the honorable mentions. The next one is my Magical Dogs Tarot deck. I gush about this deck all the time because it's just such a great deck, and I feel like it is so underrated, and I say that all the time. And I do have a couple of you who are watching my videos who have also said that you love the Magical Dogs Tarot. There's also a cat version of this deck called the Mystical Cats. And I have looked at that deck. I might pick it up, but I also know that I believe it's Lisa Robertson who created the Mermaid Tarot, which I also love, but am not putting in this pile. But she is creating a cat deck as well called the Soul Cats. So I am either going to get the Soul Cats deck or the Mystical Cats, because I love this one so much. I am definitely more of a dog person than a cat person. I do have a little dog myself. His name is Bear, which is translated from the from bear. So, but he's a little Chihuahua, so it's just really funny that he's named Bear, even though he's like this small. But he's the best dog ever. Anyway. Magical Dogs Tarot, I can do really great readings with this. I've done some amazing daily energy readings on my TikTok, because I do daily energy readings on TikTok. And I love this deck, and I feel like it is a great deck to use for reading for others, but I feel like other people would, when they book a reading with somebody, they would rather see something with people in it, I think. Unless they might book something to reconnect with, or kind of see what their pets are saying about them. I've never done that before. That would be a really great thing to do with this deck. But yeah, the Magical Dogs Tarot, definitely a must-have in my keeping only 10 decks. And then the last tarot deck that I want to talk about is the one that made me want to do this tag, because this was the first deck that I knew I had to keep for my 10 decks, and it's my Afro Avatar Tarot deck. This is created by Colored Afro Art, and her website is coloredafros.com. So beautiful. So I am a huge fan of Avatar The Last Airbender, and that is what this deck is all about. So the back, these are very glossy cards. This is what the backs look like. Just the fish from the first, what we have in the first season. You guys, the art in this is gorgeous. And by this card alone, you cannot tell why it's called Afro Avatar, but you'll see. Okay, we're starting with animals, I guess. Yeah. Every character in these cards is made to be Afro-American, I guess, or from Afro descent. I don't know the proper English terminology. But you can see here that we have characters from the show. We have the animals from the show. We have the characters. We have Aang in a lot of these. We have the guru here. And we also have some made-up characters. I think this is amazing. But we also have some made-up characters. Oh my god, remember this. That is why I love this. And it's a similar reason as to why I love the Friends tarot deck. Because it makes you feel... It kind of brings me back. Working with this deck brings me back to the series. And I absolutely loved the show. So working with this deck, it also has holographic edges, if you can tell. Yeah. Anyway, well, not holographic, but like very pretty gilded edges. Working with this deck brings me back to the Avatar world and all of the feels that I ever got while watching the show, because I absolutely love it so much. I would not have minded if the creator also put in like characters from the Legend of Korra, because I recently watched, like a year ago, I watched that with my boyfriend too, and we loved it. So those are the 10 decks that I would keep. I have 2 honorable mentions. Let's keep going with the tarot. An honorable mention is the Muse Tarot, because I think that this deck is great for love readings. It's more of a collage, quirky kind of style. And I do think that this one goes really well with my Oracle decks, as well as the Oracle deck that is my honorable mention, which is the Moonology Manifestation. So I really did not like the original Moonology, but this one has the moon phases of new moon, full moon, and then first quarter moon and last quarter moon in all of the 12 zodiac signs. So there are 48 cards, and I really like working with this in my like Book of Shadows, you know. So when it was the new moon or when it was the full moon, I looked at the card, I looked in the guidebook, and what can I manifest, what can I work with what kind of energies can I work with the current moon phase. And I was really liking that, but I haven't really used it enough, especially not in readings, to have it for sure be a part of my if I could only keep 10 decks. So I didn't want to put it in there, but it is an honorable mention, and I think these two go together really well, kind of vibe-wise. So those are the 10 decks that I would keep if I could only keep 10 decks. I would love to hear your thoughts on my selection in the comments down below, but I would also love to hear what 10 decks you would keep. Do you even have 10 decks in your collection? Because at first I thought like 10 decks, like that's a lot. But then I looked at my collection and I was like, oh, there are a couple of decks that almost made it in here, like the Mermaid Tarot or the Everyday Witch Tarot, my Housewives Tarot, that I absolutely love, but these are the ones that I would keep, and I find that these are the ones that I gravitate towards the most anyway. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to book a personal one-on-one tarot reading with me, you can do so through the link in the description box below. I would love to work together with you. You can also subscribe to my channel if you like videos about tarot. I do pick a card readings all the time, so definitely subscribe if you want to see more of that. For now, I just want to thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you next time.